present the Party Poker warm-up Mosconi Cup warm-up match, England-USA. Live from the Spots and Stripes Club in South London. 2 5-man teams, race to 5 matches, and the first team to 7 points are the champions. First up, representing Team England, former Mosconi Cup MVP from Yorkshire, Chris Melling, and 3-time Mosconi Cup winner, Granite Mark Gray. And from the USA, 2 veterans of the team. Welcome the South Dakota Kid, Shane Van Boening, and the Prince of Pool, Corey Deuel.
Good afternoon, everyone. Joining us here at the England versus USA game, it's Emily Fraser here from Matchroom Multisport, and I'm joined by the wonderful Jeremy Jones.
Thank you, Emily.
First rack, USA to break.
And USA has won the lag, which is so important here in our race to 5. Alternate the break. As Luke alluded, as far as Team USA, we have a lot of experience in this opening doubles. There's been 4 players that have had the most play in the Mosconi Cup, and number 3 and 4 are Shane Van Boening with 11 appearances and Corey Deuel with 10. So experience shouldn't be a problem here, Emily. And a great opening break by by Shane Van Boening, excuse me.
I was going to say.
Yeah. Just an ideal way to start. Pretty easy shot on the 1, open table. So as far as to get a hold of your nerves, this is exactly what you want.
Now, I'm not obviously the most experienced person, Jeremy, when it comes to commentating on live pool. Our budgets were obviously cut back slightly. It was all going into the Mosconi Cup, so you know we chip in here and there, but you know it's great that we've got England versus USA here. It's it's the perfect warm-up for the Mosconi Cup, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is, and a bunch of guys that have played each other before, and everyone on the England team has represented the Europe in the Mosconi Cup, which I think is key. As far as, especially for our U.S. team, to play guys with a bunch of experience. We only have 1 rookie on the team, Tyler Styer, and we'll see him later in the day, not too far, actually in the next match. But yeah, this is just, this party poker warm-up is perfect.
I'm intrigued to see how Tyler Styer plays, actually, because obviously...
I think we all are. I'm very confident. I think he's put in the work. Of course, just like everyone out there, there's going to be some nerves and there's going to be some mistakes. So I think the interesting thing is going to be how he handles a mistake, probably. Now, a little bit of a tester, probably the only tester in the rack. He's got to kind of slow spin this around the 9. Okay, that's going to get a little steep on the 9 ball, but you know, these players still, they've hit plenty of balls on the table this morning, but they still have to get used to it in game conditions.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, my. Okay, so that was a little bit of a bad miss, uncharacteristic.
What's going through his head at that point, Jeremy?
Well, you know, through the months, we've seen that Corey, overall, he's played really solid throughout the year. That's how he made the team. But it seemed the beginning of the matches, the first game or 2 were the ones that he struggled with the most. So I think he'll shake that off and recoup very well. And now 1-0 lead in our first match for Team Europe. Excuse me, Team England.
Yeah. Just bear with us, obviously, on the graphic side of things, guys. Just having a few technical problems here. It's getting very busy down there. It's obviously only a small percentage of what's going to be ahead at Alexander Palace, Jeremy.
Yeah. I don't know if we could even label it a percentage, but a bunch of people have shown up this morning, more and more as the day has gone. A lot of people are really, just like in the U.S., they want to support their local heroes.
Yeah, good morning to everyone who's joining us over in the US. I'm sure you are all tuning in to cheer on Team USA.
Yeah, and I think maybe Corey, reflecting, maybe he rushed it a little bit, kind of got down on the 9 a little quick.
Yeah.
And sometimes your nerves will make you do that because you just don't want to deal with the nerves as much, so you kind of rush things. But I think he'll smooth that out. And now Chris Melling, who was, had a great year, and after the unfortunate things that happened with Team Europe in the last week and a half, was mentioned for that replacement spot. So
yeah, well, obviously we had to, Mario came off of our ranking system, so it was only right to go
I
down
think
one.
I agreed with it totally.
Yeah, of course, and that was the best way to go about it. But Melling has so many fans out there. That
oh yeah, he's a great guy. He's a fun guy. He's fun to watch. He's got a lot of spirit. And now inspecting the rack, trying to get a little information on where he wants to break the balls from.
Okay. I feel like
Thank
I'm
you.
getting
Second
a lesson in
rack.
9-ball pool right now.
Break.
Just to
Leading
let
one rack
everyone
to
know,
nil.
I will stick to my day job and promote
Yeah, well,
events
you never know.
instead
By
of
the end of the day,
commentating.
you never know. So, okay. Oh, corner ball in, and you saw the cue ball. So he hit the balls exactly how he wanted. And he's got a nice opening shot. Now is the 2 going to line up for the combination? No, it's falling a little short. So a little bit of a tester on the 1 for Mark. Mark, who's played in the Mosconi Cup, I believe 2 times. No, excuse me, 3 times.
Yeah, Mark joined us at 2016 at Alexandra Palace.
Right.
And that was obviously just an incredible atmosphere there. So even more people joining us next week.
And I'm sure Mark and Chris have played a little bit together. They played against each other quite a bit. And that's one thing you do in this sport. You gain a lot of respect for your opponents at some time, and it really carries a lot of value when you have to play together in a team situation. So there's a little work here from the 6 to the 7. Wants to gain a little bit of an angle. He can handle straight in too, but if he falls straight in, he's going to have to draw the cue ball back, and that's the choice they went with. So a little bit of a touchy shot here. He's got to get past the 8, but doesn't want to go too far, like all the way to the back rail. Okay, that looks perfect. Pretty perfect. He'll just come 1 rail up, real nice and easy for the 8. Oh, he's gotten a little steep and a little bit of a stretch. So now he's going to use the crutch. And I'll tell you something about Mr. Son. Mr. Son's been great, but it's got a little bit more lively rails than you anticipate with new felt. So you might see the guys occasionally get out of line. And a great choice there, running into the 9-ball, trying to contain the cue ball and the 9. So a break and run in rack 2 from Team England.
That's a 2-0 up. Just apologies there on a few little random videos scrolling in. I hope no one saw it.
Well, that was where we'll be next week, right?
That is exactly where we're going to be next week. Next Tuesday, the 4th of December, the Mosconi Cup. It's going to be wild, Jeremy. 2,500 fans each session, and it's the atmosphere. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like, and I sit there, I dream about the Mosconi Cup. Every night I dream about it.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Just what's going to be happening, and I just have this feeling that, every fan that's come along is going to have such a fantastic time.
Yeah, we had a meeting this morning with the guys, and we were talking about, how your heart rate gets up and everything, and the guys, a few of them commented that had been at Alexander Palace before.
Yeah.
That it starts as soon as the fans get there, like even an hour before the matches.
Exactly.
Your heart rate gets
USA
jacked.
to
Yeah,
break.
I bet.
Trailing 2 racks to 0.
Okay, so let's hope Corey's obviously
Yeah, he
got
wants.
that first rack
Yeah,
out of his head,
exactly.
and he's just sort of cracking it now.
Oh, he hit him well. He hit him well. Now the one's going to get over the pocket. What's the 4 going to do? And that's okay. He's snookered, but he's got a real first shot that he should be able to handle. And it offers easy position to come around the table for the 2 on the side. So this shouldn't be a problem. It's all about the speed of the cue ball, because you'll see the 3, it's a little covered by the 9, so you'll want to get kind of straight on the 2 ball. That's got to go a little bit. Should be okay, though. He may have to bump the 3 a little after cutting the 2, or even maybe bumping the 9. Probably going to the 3. I like him taking a little more time. I think that 9 ball he missed, he just rushed it a bit.
Yeah, you can tell he just got down and just...
Okay, and you're going to see Shane be aggressive here. He's got a pretty easy safety, but most of the great players, and not just in pool, all the top sports, they're very aggressive. So you'll see him go for the bank and swing the cue ball a couple rails for the 4, maybe underneath the 8, something like that. Great shot. And I'll tell you, it's hard to believe, but being around this guy the last 6 months, I've commented many times that I think he's actually even improved, which is pretty scary.
That is scary, especially for the likes of him.
So besides an opening 9 ball miss in the first rec, we've seen all 4 players seem very comfortable. He'll probably stay short side on the 6 here. There's no reason to really come up for the shorter pocket. Good speed. He's got a little bit of an angle on the 6, but I think he'll still kind of hit it mildly, kind of follow down the rail with the cue ball, like so. Now, interesting enough, this is an 8 ball that is a little similar to a miss last year at the Mosconi, that I think now he'll come just 1 rail down the table, like so. Ms. Shane has played in 11 Mosconi Cups and Corey 10. Shane, his percentage isn't the best. It's 43%, which is very hard to actually get 65, 70% in this event. All the players play so well. Race to 5, it's very hard to dominate.
Yeah, of course. So that's 1 point, obviously, for USA now. So good news for our USA fans watching back home. Obviously, good morning to you guys. Joining us here for England versus USA, and I believe it is
2-1.
2-1.
Yeah, and we're playing races to 5. Each match is worth a point. We're going to 7 points
we'll be
for
here
the
all
victory.
day, Jeremy.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why, like we always commented about Mosconi Cup. If you're playing at 50% wins, you're doing a heck of a job.
Yeah.
So Mark, a guy that at one point in his pool career kind of struggled with the break.
Okay.
But in the last few years,
Fourth
it's really
rack.
become a lot better. I mean,
England
it's
to break.
obvious. It's such
Leading
a
2
dominant
racks to
shot in
1.
the game. You have to have results. All right, like there, you saw a little miss hit as far as the 1. So now he's put the 1 on the end rail with the cue ball on the opposite end rail, so that's a problem.
Okay.
You want to keep the cue ball in the center of the table. Just percentage-wise, it gives you a better chance to shoot at the 1 or whatever the lowest number ball is. And a very difficult rollout here. You may have to roll out to like a 2-rail kick on the 1. Can't really roll out to an offensive shot. So a lot of times when guys are in a dilemma, they'll try and tie balls up to try and lengthen the game.
Okay.
Like here, he's trying to put the 6 over the 5. Maybe they get jumbled up in a difficult situation.
So that was a push-out called there. So.
Yeah. And if you're not used to American pool, a push-out is only after the break.
Correct.
Because it's hard to determine the shot after the break, getting a shot. So there's a push-out there where there's an option for the incoming player. They can either take the shot or pass it back. And he's really, he wanted to keep the 2-rail kick, but he moved the 5 in the way. So now he's got to go across the table, which is very difficult. Meanwhile, what a shot.
I thought he was going to get close there with the shot clocker.
He was. We're playing with a 30-second shot clock. So he's got a couple options here. He can cut the 2 in the side and come down for the 3, which may offer an angle to break out the 5-6 while he's trying to gain position on the 4. Like so. He may have overran it a little bit. So now you'll probably see a safety later on the 5. He'll go ahead and attack on the 3 and 4. Trying to leave Mark later on the 5 where he can play safe. Probably knocking the 5 around 3 rails and containing the cue ball behind the 6. And we've got quite a few fans coming across the pond for next week's Mosconi Cup.
Have we?
Yeah.
I'm hoping they're all dressing up. Has everyone heard about our fancy dress prize that we've got?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I might even turn up and come out of my office in fancy dress for 250 quid.
Right?
No, I'll
Score.
definitely be judging them.
So he's gotten a little far with the cue ball. It's still very doable knocking the 3 around, the 5 around. And you'll see the 6 just stop right, the cue ball stop right behind the 6. Oh, great effort there. So this is one area that I think I went to the last 2 Mosconis in Las Vegas, and this is one area that we need to excel a little better at. We need to not give up ball in hands that much. The kicking process really cost us, I believe, in a few of those matches. Very difficult kick shot here. 2 rails most likely. In rails, right side rail. Going straight at the 5.
And it's extension called for USA there.
And this is one element that a lot of people don't give Shane enough credit. They all think it's just the break when it comes to his game. And they're pretty fooled if they think that. That's a little long. Yeah.
Foul. Ball in hand.
So that's ball in hand to Team England.
And I'm really impressed with the new Rasson table, I'll tell you that, looking at it. I like a lot of the improvements they've made.
We actually had one of the Rasson tables at our Champions snooker the other week in Coventry. And we had the 9-foot victory table, this table, in the fan zone area. And the amount of response that even at a snooker tournament, of the amount of people that love 9-ball pool, and they're coming along and they're playing on the table and they're having so much fun, and that's even at a snooker event. So it was obviously and the main event was played on a Rasson Magnum table, and the snooker table played absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of snooker in the last several months traveling abroad, and when I pay attention to the cue ball rolling, and it's amazing how well they get that 12-foot table level.
Yeah.
It's pretty quality work.
So that's 3-1 to Team England.
Yeah, and now a lot of heat early on Team USA. They will be breaking at 3-1, but can't afford any more mistakes.
Yep. How are this team under pressure, you think, Jeremy? So, when they get out there at the Mosconi Cup and the pressure hits them, how are they going to come out and play?
I think they'll be just fine. If you're talking about Team USA, yes, I think they'll be just fine. They've had a lot of great performances here in the last few months. I think all of them are on the top of their game. They're confident. I don't think they're dragging any baggage into meaning like the last 8 Mosconis.
And that would be terrible.
Yeah, it's not part of it. It's not part of this team.
Yeah, of course.
Trailing 3 racks to 1.
They were great at the Euro Tour when I obviously went over there and had a look at myself, because for me it's interesting to go see what other events there are out there and how they conduct them, and it was a good event to go and see, and to see USA, all of these players so late, and then obviously Shane taking it down. It's impressive.
And then also in Virginia at the International, one of the toughest tournaments of the year by far. We had a lot of great results. So I think as far as being in form, I always talk about there's prepared nerves and unprepared nerves. If you're prepared, the nerves are a good thing for you, I believe. When you're not prepared, they can be quite the opposite. But so I think these guys are looking
So push
to
out
make a
called
statement.
it. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so he's moving. I believe he just left him a piece of the 2. So he was trying to move the 5 in position to maybe run the cue ball safe behind the 5, something like that.
Okay.
I wouldn't doubt if he gets this back, though. I don't like it that much if I'm the incoming player. So at this level, you don't get the rollout back very often.
Yeah.
So that tells you how tough of a situation this is.
Okay. I'm learning, Jeremy.
There
this
you
is
go.
great.
Okay, what a great shot. And to draw into the 4 with control and still hit it light enough to not lose the 2, meaning not let the 2 come over the side or something like that. That shows you that Corey's recovered pretty quickly from that opening 9 ball.
Opening rack, yeah, sure.
And I think Chris Melling probably just learned a shot for later on, and you know, because he passed the shot pretty quick. So
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
yeah.
Did he discuss that with Mark? I think he did.
He may have.
Yeah.
He was. Mark wasn't at the table, but so he'll go 2 rails at this most likely. Hit right before the side pocket, gives him a good chance to separate the balls and maybe take a chance at making the 2 in the corner. Oh, he went 1 rail. Oh, side pocket. Watch out.
Foul.
Okay,
Ball
so
in hand for
yeah,
Team USA.
it'll be interesting to see how they play this because it appears the 8 and 9 are locked up. So with ball in hand, and he may want to break the 8-9. Maybe does the 8 go somewhere? I don't believe so. So I would look at breaking the 8-9 right now, even though it's a little tricky because you want to get good on the 3 to get back up for the 4. So we got some issues here. Yeah, I think try and hit the either one.
Yeah, exactly like what you just said. It's like Shane just heard you, Jeremy.
Right, but it's important because there's not really another great way to break the balls.
Extension.
Okay,
So he's
extension
taking a
called
little
in.
chance here with the cue ball, but I think it's necessary. Yeah, like that. Hit both. Great shot. Yeah. Okay, so he hit a little high on the cue ball. Hit much higher than he wanted, that's for sure. May have to look at jumping this. Not sure if he. Yeah, he's got to bend the cue ball, so this may go a little long on him. Speaking of long, he's left the 4 near the pocket, but you can see the cue ball rest near the rail on the opposite end of the table, so it's not going to be an easy shot. And a great shot, a great pot on the 4 ball there by Chris Melling. A little straight on the 5. So he'll probably try to draw back to the middle of the table with a little angle on the 6 to come across for the 8. So it's all about the cue ball here. And that should be perfect. A little longer than he wanted maybe, but pretty perfect angle to come across for the 8 in the same pocket. And again, he'll shoot the 8 and just bump the 9 towards the pocket. No reason to take a chance at trying to draw the ball for any reason, so it'll be just a light hit on the 9. And now Team England out to a 4-1 lead and breaking.
Yes, it's 4-1. They're on the hill, so 1 more point, and obviously they take the first match here at the Spots and Stripes Club in London. So hopefully USA have another few racks in them, but I believe England are back at the table to break now, aren't they?
Yeah, it's England's break, and this is what you're looking for, Emily. You're looking like right now, England will have at least 2 breaks to win the match. So that's an ideal situation. playing a race to 5, and if somebody could tell you ahead of time, you're going to have 2 breaks to win the match, that's you'll take that any day.
And we're just by London Waterloo train station here, Jeremy, so if you can hear all the trains overhead, that's exactly what's happening. So we're at the Spots and Stripes Pool Club here, and they've obviously kindly hosted this event for us for England versus USA. Like I said, perfect warm-up style for the Party Poker Mosconi Cup that's coming up next week. It's Wednesday today. I mean, I've lost count on what days it is at
right,
night,
yeah.
Jeremy. So
busy lady.
I think it's Wednesday. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a Wednesday. We start next Tuesday.
That's
so
right.
Not long now, under a week. But like I said, Team USA have been in the country for a few days now. I know Billy had a few problems with his flights getting in. I felt like I couldn't sleep until I had all of the 5 players here under sort of one roof. But they're here, they're together. So let's hope they can obviously take down this tournament ahead of the Mosconi Cup.
Yeah, this is a warm-up for the Mosconi Cup, but a very serious warm-up at that.
Exactly.
Oh, cue ball was going in the side, so a fortunate kiss on the... Oh, okay. So a couple kisses on the cue ball there. The first one very fortunate because you could see the cue ball tracking towards that side pocket. And now without making a ball has left Team USA in a very difficult situation on the rollout.
Push out.
And push out called here.
Okay, so he's rolled out to a very tough offensive shot. You definitely don't want to leave much of an offensive shot when you roll out. You always want to try to get back to the table, even though you may have the worst of it. So Mark Gray in a little bit of a situation. One rollout already passed by Team England. So he's just trying to put the 1 on the end rail, maybe play the cue ball backwards at now, something like that. Oh, he went for the cross corner bank. And that's going to give up a look at the 1. Not enough. Well, maybe an offensive. This may be a time to go for the long rail bank. I kind of like putting the cue ball behind the 5, letting the 1 come up in between the 2-3. The thing about professional pool, a little bit different, obviously, than lower ranked pool, but it's very easy at a 4-1 deficit to want to shoot at the pocket. But you still have to play the percentages and hope you get the chances to make a comeback.
Extension.
Is extension called here from Chris Melling, Team England.
Yeah, we're going to see our first jump cue, right? I don't think we have had a jump yet. So you'll see why the jump is such the right shot here, because the 4 over the pocket. So if he can knock the 1 towards the 7, maybe he can get some action. Oh, he drew the cue ball back nice for distance. He's going to leave a look on the 1 a little bit, but not an easy one. So in American pool, probably like snooker, is the same. When you don't have much guarantee, distance is your best defense. You sometimes can't get the snooker, but you leave your opponent 8-9 feet away. Makes the shot that much more difficult. And I really think he should put him behind the 4, banking the 1 up table. Because if he goes forward with the cue ball, he can't really bring the cue ball back for the 2. And you can see the 2 doesn't go by the 5 in the upper left. It doesn't go by the 7 in the upper right. So there's not much value in being offensive here. So he'll kind of shoot through the 1, banking the 1 back up table, trying to put the cue ball behind the 4. Okay, he played it with a chip shot, so that's a great touch. And as far as our only rookie between the 10 we have here in team pool, Tyler Styer will be playing Imran Majid in our second match.
I'm looking forward to that match.
We'll get
we'll
get a look real quickly.
No, neither of you.
Extension already taken from Team England, so obviously Mark Grave rushing around the table, so see obviously what happens here.
And if he hits the bottom side of this, he's got a lot of good things that can happen. Really surprised he hit it with a firmer stroke though, but probably kept him off of an offensive shot here. So Corey should probably play the cue ball back underneath the 4 and let the 1 go up table. I think that's probably the play. Let the 1 hit right before the side pocket, kind of drifting over by the 2. Cue ball up behind the 4. That's not going to be enough. So here's where you keep it simple and you just use the balls on the table. You'll knock the 1 back down towards the 3 and let the cue ball run behind the 5, I believe. Oh, he played it the other way. Okay, but in this point, the way the balls are laying, you really don't want to let them see the 1. Even though it's not offensive, you're still going to take the worst of it.
So I'm loving that you've got Johan sitting in the with the players, and obviously just talking amongst themselves. They just feel like it's such a team this year, Team USA. Like they're just gelled together and they're having fun. They're chatting with one another. I've certainly noticed a difference with them, and it's very exciting to see ahead of next week.
Well, and they're very interested with each other. That's what I like. I mean, they're trying to help each other, keep each other confident, spirits up no matter what the situation is.
Yeah, of course.
And I think one benefit also is Johan being over there to hear what's going on in their heads so we can maybe address later. Not just him giving them little tidbits when he can. It's what they give back.
It's him more just taking it all in.
Right. So a 2-rail kick that's not easy here. He's kind of got to bend the cue ball. Oh, he went 3 rails. Great shot. He's going to scratch in the side, though.
Well, that's unfortunate there,
yeah,
Jeremy,
a little bit unfortunate.
Made a great shot, but
Pull in hand.
Great shot, though, going in between all that traffic. 3 cushions. So the 2's a little funny. He's got to probably play a natural draw shot to play the 2 in the right side pocket. No, he's following the ball for the 2 in the opposite side. Nothing wrong with that. Well, it's got to go a little bit. Okay, a friendly bump. So Team USA can get out here. That's one of those 2 breaks that they've survived from
exactly
Team Europe. Okay, so he'll want to get kind of full on this. He can't really take a chance at going to the right side of the 6. I don't think. So he'll come 1 rail just kind of towards the 5, trying to get nice and heavy on it. That way Corey can just draw the cue ball back to the center of the table and let Shane have a natural shot on the 6 to get back for the 7.
So informative, Jeremy, honestly.
Well, these guys make it look easy, but there's a lot more to it than people realize.
Of course.
Kind of like when I started playing pool, I didn't realize you could play pool well. I thought it was just like a game you played waiting on a bowling lane or something like that. So, and I'll tell you, Shane looks pretty incredible considering just getting off the plane with those delays yesterday.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, those delays were just absolutely, like I said, I couldn't sleep until I had all 5 players here, but fair play to him. He's obviously come in, had his rest, and so obviously hit a few balls with the team, and he's come out here first match today, and like you said, looking extremely strong. But that's Shane for you.
Oh yeah, he's a guy that nobody works harder in America, I think, than Shane, and all the American players will tell you the same, I believe.
He's one of those players that I think that most people should look up to as the sportsman and as the athlete in 9-ball pool. He's obviously so strong. Like I said, he goes and trains, and he has that sort of strong head on him. And obviously a lot of players look up to him. And it's just good to see him here with the team and all working together, really.
Yeah, and it's pool's a sport that it's not a perfection sport. You're always trying to achieve. You're always trying to get better. And Shane is the best example that we have in the U.S. for that, that's for sure.
Of course.
On and off the table as well.
So USA have taken a point now.
Yeah, and breaking the balls.
And breaking, so I believe we are 4-2 to Team England. But like I said, Team USA will be up at the table first. So obviously we have, just to let everyone know, this is Team USA and Team England pre-Mosconi Cup warm-up match. So the Party Poker Mosconi Cup does actually start next Tuesday, the 4th of December at Alexandra Palace. And Team USA and Europe will be playing in front of a crowd size of 2,500 spectators, which I think I'm maybe ignorant to say that's never happened in 9-ball pool before. So
not that I can recall, that's for
unless
sure.
anyone wants to pull me up on it now, I'm going to strongly, confidently say
not
there
in professional pool.
No
that's
crowd
for sure.
like that.
We have some big amateur events in the U.S. that bring a lot of amateur players to play together, but as far as professional pool, it's not even close. A little bit of a cut on the one there. He still made a ball, so he's left Shane a tough offensive shot. This is one he may bank long rail to the right and hold the cue ball behind the 6. Kind of a two-way shot, trying to be offensive and carry some safety along with it. What he's wondering is, can I cut the 1 and hit the good side of the 2 with the cue ball? And if not, he's going to let his stroke out and try and draw this cue ball. So this is a difficult shot to avoid that scratch in the upper right. So he can't hit too hard. You have to give it time to draw. And he overcut it and didn't scratch. So he got a lot of draw on the ball. He's left it really tough for Team England. But a difficult shot there. He was very worried about the cue ball. And that's what happens when you have a difficult shot that you're not 100% carries position, meaning there's not a lot of value. Well, sometimes it's easy to get a little distracted on the shot itself because you're so worried about gaining position.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, he was trying to play a bit of a two-way too, trying to bring the cue ball back because it was a difficult shot on the 1. So Corey may have to go for the jump cue here. I'm not really sure what he's going to attempt. He may try and shoot the 1 into the 3 and run the cue ball. I think that's the only thing I can kind of... Oh, wow. 9 ball on the side. But I'll tell you one thing. Did you see where he contained the cue ball on the end rail, knowing he's sending the 1 up table? So that was kind of the percentage play from there.
Yes, I see.
Along with banging it into the 9.
I was going to say, as long as whacking 9 ball in as well. I mean, yeah, it's obviously a lucky...
Yeah, if you just blinked, you didn't see that one going.
For anyone asking, obviously, so we are 4-3 here at Team England versus Team USA in a Mosconi Cup warm-up match. So this is not the real thing, guys, and I'd be quite concerned if it was, if this was the setup, that is.
Right.
And obviously we'd have the wrong teams in place, but the Mosconi Cup does start next Tuesday the 4th from 6:30 p.m. at Alexandra Palace, and we're also live on Sky Sports main event. So looking forward to that one. And again, we're 4-3 here, Team England, and Mark Gray to break.
Mark kind of missed the 1 a little bit, letting the cue ball drop to the end rail. We'll see if he kind of regroups and hits him a little better. He's lost it again. And I got a kiss upwards, so that's going to help. And the 2's over the pocket. So big 1 ball here for Team England in the opening match. The problem here is he may have to slow roll this, Emily, because you'll see the 3-4 kind of cover up the 2 from out in the middle of the table.
Well, you can see Chris here shaking his head, and he knows it's obviously a tough shot.
Well, it's not the type of... Anytime you have to slow roll the ball, it's a little bit nerving, you know, a little bit nervy,
yeah,
maybe.
Of course.
And
I'm not going to pretend like I know what I'm talking about when it comes to the technical side of 9 ball.
Smart lady, I'm sure you'll pick it up. And I'm not sure if everyone's been as in the U.S. as. Oh wow, okay. So he didn't want to roll it, so he kind of forced the angle on the cue ball, trying to shove it back and forth. And that's what caused the miss on the 1, and a bad miss at that. So it'll be interesting to see if Shane plays a rail first shot here, trying to bring the cue ball all the way down the table for the two, trying to avoid getting snookered. But what I was getting at, if you're in America and you're a USA fan, which 99% are, you'll get to watch that Mosconi Cup next week, I believe, on the Facebook, right?
That's very true, Jeremy. It's obviously great news for us here at Matchroom. We're going to be live on Facebook in North and South America and in India as well for the Mosconi. So all of you USA fans, you'll be able to tune into Facebook. It will be early afternoon for you guys, I believe. We obviously go live at 6:30 p.m. In the evening UK time. So it's just great news for fans over there that you can be able to just tune in to Facebook and be able to watch the Mosconi Cup.
Correct, yeah. So everybody in the civilized world doesn't have any excuses, right? Yeah.
No excuse, guys.
Yeah.
There is no excuse to
Probably
watch.
30 countries on Sky, something like that, maybe?
30 countries?
Huh?
Over 130.
Really? Is
Yeah.
it going to be seen in the Mosconi?
The Party Poker Mosconi Cup is going live to over 130
Wow, that's
countries
awesome.
out there. So, you know, this is going to be the best event so far, and you can quote me on that. If it is not, then you can obviously I'm held responsible, but it is going to be an absolute spectacular event.
Great touch on that 3 right there. He made it look easy, but it was quite the opposite, trying to draw the cue ball the end rail and not catch the 9 coming back up the table. So Corey keeping it very simple there. One thing about the TV tables, distance a lot of times, of course you don't want to be long on every shot, but it's not required to get so close to the ball. It's all about keeping an angle.
I was going to say that obviously the tables can play so differently when you're out in that, you know, big arena as opposed to the practice tables or even the tables that the guys have at home. They must play so differently under the lighting. I mean, this is a very small production lighting side of it, but you know, when you're at the likes of the Alexandra Palace next week, the table must obviously just play so differently for them.
Yes, and it's one thing that's always made a great player is being able to adapt. So, but the slickness of that table is definitely much different than what you play on in most tournaments. Even a lot of the TV tables throughout the year you play on still don't quite duplicate the table we play on in the Mosconi.
So we are 4-all here at the England versus USA game, and it's, you know, to go from, I think they were 4-1 down, Team USA, weren't they?
Yes, they were.
To my knowledge, but I mean, if you're tuning in now, this is what you wanted to see. You wanted to see a hill-hill match for the opening game here, and you know what a day we've got set up. We've got a whole day of the best USA players, and obviously Team England here that have come along to do this for obviously a warm-up match for the Party Poker Mosconi Cup. So this is exactly what we wanted for the first game here.
Yeah, and the interesting thing to me, you know, all these guys are good friends, colleagues. They got to play each other all the time. But there were a few smiles at the beginning of the match, and even though this was a warm-up match for the premiere next week, you can see all of a sudden how serious things have become.
Exactly.
Okay, hit very squarely. Okay,
So
all the balls kind of stay jumbled here, so we're going to get an
what's
occasional.
What's the shot on the one here for
Well,
Team
there's
England?
tough to roll out. Okay, you can't really roll out, and you can't roll out to some stupid kick shot. So he's going to go immediately with a jump cue. It's one he should make 8 to 9 out of 10. And you can see it could develop into a quick win at Hill Hill. It depends on where he gets on the 2, but a 2-9 combination is possible. A 4-9 combination is possible later in the rack. It's easy to hit this too hard. Okay, he's hit it great.
Nice shot there, obviously, from Melling. Now, they obviously, Team England, they've all come together to play this match here, but it's not often that they play in doubles unless they're really at the World Cup of Pool, obviously a matchroom event. So it must be quite tough for them to all of a sudden sort of turn up today and to play in a sort of doubles pair, but I guess it's kind of what they're used to. But
Yeah,
I'm
and
sure
they know
they've
each
done it
other
for a
very
while.
well,
Yeah.
so that makes a huge difference. Okay, he's ended up a hair short of ideal here, but it should still be okay to probably play a 4-9 combination. I think he's got to go to the side rail now and then try to fall on the bottom rail. That way he doesn't have to cut the 4 much on the 9, just kind of straight. Kind of like so. No, he should play the combination here. I don't think there's any reason to try to run out. A lot of times professional players don't, but this one's sitting nice.
Okay, so that's obviously first match to Team England there, 5-4. It was nice, obviously, to go to the 4-4 there for our opening game, but obviously first blood. And obviously we've got Team England has taken the first match here. So that was Mark Gray, Chris Melling against Shane Van Boening and Corey Deuel. And we're just going to wrap up here, and we're going to throw down to Nick, who is with Mark and Chris by the table.
Chris, Mark, they made you work for that from 4-1 up, but in the end, nice to get the first point on the board.
Yeah, I thought we deserved winners really throughout the match. They seemed to make more mistakes than we did. Obviously, we can talk about the lucky 9 ball that Corey made, but he did make a good jump shot, and that's pool. Sometimes you get the luck.
And a little bit more of that look at the end there, Mark, because they got the break at Hill, but they break dry and leave that 9 ball on for you.
Yeah, obviously when you're racking with a triangle, you're going to get a few dry breaks, you know, as everyone knows in pool. It makes it a bit more of a game, to be honest. But as Chris said, we missed no open pots in play, apart from Chris a tough 1 ball, but he didn't have a lot on there. We sort of made a ball off the break every time. We took her out, and I think we deserved to win. I think 5-4 flattered them, to be honest. But, Shane looks in good stroke, to be fair. He looks like he's playing well, which is good news for the Americans, for the Mosconi up and coming. But, I think we thoroughly deserved to take the first point.
And Chris, you're the next back out in a few matches' time. You two probably the most in form of the England team. I'm sure the other guys won't mind me saying that. How's the feeling on the table today, Chris?
Yeah, it's good, obviously, when you're playing on TV in front of the cameras and everything, and you've got a big crowd, the table plays a lot quicker. Obviously, this has just been put in yesterday or today, so it plays slightly slower. But I like it. I like the rest on table. The pockets play nice. All in all, yeah, it's I felt like we put a good performance in, considering we've never ever played together in a doubles match.
Brilliant. Well, guys, thank you very much. 1-0 to England, and don't go anywhere because in a minute we'll be back with singles action. It's Imran Majid against Tyler Styer.
With the score standing 1-0 to Team England, we're into the second match, which is singles. Representing England is a 2006 Mosconi Cup player. It's West London's Imran Majid. And for the USA, from Wisconsin, USA, making his London debut, a big welcome to Tyler Styer.
Well, hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and we're back for our second match in our Party Poker Mosconi Cup warm-up between Team England and Team USA. Team England winning the first match, if you're just joining us, 5-4. And here we have Imran Majid and Tyler Styer. And you heard Luke, and we'll have Luke join us here momentarily. Mentioned that the only rookie out of the 10 here today, Tyler in his first match here in England. And now joined by Luke Riches.
Hey, Jeremy, how are you?
Good, Luke.
I don't know much about Tyler. I've never seen him play before, so can you give us some background on him?
Well, he's from Wisconsin, a young man that lives and breathes pool. Technically, probably one of the most sound players you'll ever watch, technically, as far as form and delivery, and a player that's improved so much in the last couple of years. He's got all the skills, that's for sure. A little bit of an unfortunate 3-ball that ran in front of the cue ball, so he cannot go offensive here on the 1. I'm not sure he can even see a piece of it. So we may see a push out here in the opening rack, Luke.
Yeah. How's Tyler settled into being part of the team? You know, looking ahead to next week in the Mosconi Cup. Obviously, it was a big jump for him, wasn't it, to move into the Mosconi team and the training schedule and that. Has he settled in well, do you think?
Oh, he's doing great. That's really how he made the team. You know, you wouldn't say all the events. You know, he didn't win big events or anything like that this year, but he's competed very well. He's a guy that's trying hard all the time. And we look for results. He's not a fill-in spot or anything like that. We expect some wins with opportunity. That's what we're looking for. So Imran will chip the 1 here using the 3, 6, 8, and 2 as a snooker, trying to run the cue ball back up table. And well executed on not. He made it look easy, Luke, but it wasn't easy.
I think he's left the gap though.
Yeah, so we may see a bit of a two-way shot, trying to bank at the 1 and running the cue ball to the opposite side of the table, to where if he makes the 1, he has maybe a 2-9 combination from a little distance, but if he doesn't make the 1, he can possibly get a snooker. Okay, so he's just going for the safety all the way. That's got to go a little bit, and that's a pretty nice play. Now,
of course, Imran's been around a long time. He played the Mosconi Cup 12 years ago when we were in Rotterdam. Did you play in that one, Jeremy?
Was that...
it's the infamous 12-all draw.
Yeah, no, I did not. That was in 06, correct?
The 06, yeah. And I just remember him missing a 6-ball into the middle pocket. That's my only recollection of him that week. And it was a match game he should have won, which he ended up losing. But it was a good. He never got back in the team. I mean, he's a really solid player at European.
Yeah, he's been a solid player for a long time.
Yeah,
he's come to America for like the last probably 12 years off and on, always playing well. Okay, he's made a nice hit on the 1 there. Oh, unfortunate kiss on that 6-ball you were talking about just moments ago. So Tyler's a little off angle on this 1, meaning it's not super natural to come back for the 2, and you can see the 2 doesn't go by the 9. A lot of times at this level, these guys will try to avoid tough combinations on an early win and would rather go for a much more consistent run out. So I'm assuming he'll go by the 3 with a little. Oh, he caught the 3. So he's going to need a little bit of a break. So no questions here. You got to try and put the cue ball behind the 4. It's very natural to hit about 2/3 of the 2 ball, catching the right rail with a little keel spin to kind of just die behind the 4.
It's a good shot.
Yeah, pretty solid. And jump cues have evolved so incredibly. You know, when I first started playing, they were around, but you never even thought about jumping one this close.
No. I mean, it's what, 2 inches?
Yes, not much. It's amazing how you can make something going into a slate jump so quickly.
Yeah. What's his danger here? Bouncing off the table?
A little bit, but he won't strike this as hard. So, oh, he caught the 4. I'm surprised he didn't use his extension once it started. Once the clock started getting down.
He looked a bit rushed, didn't he?
Yeah. Okay, so he's got to place the cue ball, and he could play the 2 in other pockets, but this offers very natural position, and anytime you have ball in hand, you would rather go with a follow stroke more than a draw stroke. But you can see probably the difficulty here is getting from the 3 to the 4. That's going to be the issue. Getting all the way back down table for that pink on the upper rail.
I see he's using one of those new Predator Revo shafts, which seems to be quite popular amongst the players this week.
Yeah, that composite that they use, it really, you know, it's based behind making things a little easier, right? Less deflection, a little easier to draw the cue ball, a little less swerve on the cue ball when using English. Used a follow stroke there to come out, and then we talked about it in the first match. At this level on the TV table, it's not about distance as much. It's more about just keeping your angle and getting a clean shot. Once these guys get comfortable, a little distance on these tables shouldn't be too much of a problem. Now Tyler, he's been here. He came on the 19th of November to train even more with Johan in Belgium.
I understand. Yeah, he looked pretty comfortable there to me for his first rack.
No, he's played pretty well. He looked pretty smooth. He seemed like he did everything he wanted to do on each shot for the most part. So. Ball in hand, though. Ball in hand is like in American football, like a turnover.
Yeah.
It's like you just wake the person up anytime they get ball in hand. Now we're going to get our first look at Imran breaking the balls. You spoke of him playing in 2006. He played 8 matches. Going 2-6, not a good percentage, but
thank you. Second rack.
That's very easy, and that could happen to any player at this level, believe it or not, only playing 1 cup.
Yep.
And well done on the intros, Lee. I like the job.
Thank you very much.
We're
all multitasking this week. So the referee's racked the 9 ball on the side of the rack there, which got spotted by Imran.
You can see the guys having fun like they did at the beginning of the first match, but it's amazing how serious it got towards the end.
Yeah.
And I commented on in the first match, but I'm so very impressed on the improvements that Lewis on table has made, or changes maybe, to it that in my mind are improvements. But I really like the look of the table. I think it's playing pretty darn well.
Yeah, we've worked with Rasson at Chinese company for sort of 3 or 4 years now, and they're great people to work with. Anything, we always try and get feedback from the players, and and when we have discussions with them about anything we want to change and whatever to the table, they're always open to suggestion, and which is how it should be really. But it's gone very well with them, and the table looks great, and
everything about it,
settling into it now.
Yeah, and a dry break here in game 2, and what looks to be possibly an early win. He doesn't have to do that. He's got an easy shot on the 1, the 2's over the side. So he can easily get by and play for the 3 in another corner besides playing the combination. I think that's probably the best play. That 3-9 combo is not easy. Okay, I'm not sure he got an angle that allows him to go for the 3 so in another pocket. So now he may be forced to play the combination. But still a combination, Luke, that he should make. So this is where, if I was to give any advice, is don't overhit it. The pocket's pretty big on the TV tables as far as when you play with a little lighter speed. So you got to be confident. The guys, a lot of times in combination, they want to put a little more on it. But that's one of the only ways to really kind of miss this combination is just to overhit it and maybe rattle the pocket. Oh, okay, yeah. Wow. Ooh. So you can see he didn't hit the line he wanted because the 9 kind of hit crudely towards the hole.
I think he kind of got away with that one, Jeremy.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Not only with the 9, but with the cue ball. So now out to a 2-0 lead and breaking.
There's a ball here somewhere.
Seem to have lost the ball. No, they found it. So you've been working with the American team pretty much most of the year, or at least the last 6 months.
Yeah, since May, really.
And how's that been for you? How much have you enjoyed that?
Oh, I've loved it. I know all the guys pretty well overall, but I got to know them so much better, and the quality of all of them. We talked about it in the first match. They're really supporting each other. They're trusting each other. When criticisms come up, they realize it's genuine. It's not, a knock of any sort. I think it's more like what it should be. We have to play each other all year and beat each other in tournaments, but the players have to realize that we're all colleagues, and it's really, that's what it's felt like the last 6 months for sure.
Thank you, rack 3. USA to break, leading 2 racks to 0.
Makes me feel like I wish I was 20 years ago to be around these guys playing. So
you can still play yourself. You know that by looking at the results.
Yeah, but just like any sport, it's becoming more each and every year. It's a younger man's game when it comes to top sports. So now Imran probably with an opportunity he kind of needed after a little bit of a struggle. A dry break and then a missed jump shot, a foul on a jump shot. He's a little thin on the 1. So the cue ball is going to have a little speed here. He'll probably maybe just go towards the 8, something like that. I don't think he has to spin this. Oh, watch out for that side.
Oh.
And now will he go for an early 2-9 combination? I don't think there's anything wrong with it if you do. I don't think it's necessary. So you can see with ball in hand, this 2-9 combination may have been easier than that 3-9 last game, but he's going to go ahead and avoid it, and that's what the top players want to do. They're much more in control, trying to run the table rather than trying to play a little bit of a difficult combination.
Yeah, and it appears the balls are all out in the open, aren't
right. And you don't really see much work, meaning there's not one pinned on one rail where you have to come all the way back down table and then all the way back down again, something like that. So it's not just them being open, it's also a decision on How much work do I have to do? Okay, the 5 goes in the corner here as well by the 8. So when you come across the table, don't take any chances flirting getting behind the 7. You want to play either short or, yeah, exactly. He picked his line really well, though, so. Giving a glance at the shot clock there. And all these guys have a certain routine, Luke, that they like to go through before every shot for the most part. And that's what you have to do when you're playing in a format with a shot clock. You have to do your routine, practice your routine, and then you figure out, oh, I got 15 seconds left. Oh, I got 14. So you become very comfortable with the shot clock.
It's funny, we've noticed over the years with the use of the shot clock in our events that a lot of the players play slower with the shot clock, just because of what you're saying there with that rhythm thing. Someone like Neil Styer, you often see him plays a little bit slower with the shot clock than he does without one.
Right.
Just because it's just that rhythm for the 30 seconds and getting everything in place before delivering the shot.
Yeah, and I think it's a little it's not a coincidence that it's, you know, shot clocks are usually involved with the bigger tournaments, bigger events, the higher pressure events. So, you know, your heart rate gets going a little higher, so you want to slow everything down a little bit more anyways, so you may take a little extra time even if you are a little bit quicker player. And again, a very steady out here by Tyler Styer and trying to get out to a 3-0 lead. I can't wait to see Barry. I haven't seen Barry yet.
Yeah.
I know we'll see him next week, that's for sure.
He's certainly going to be there, yes. He's always very excited about the Mosconi Cup. He's seen it grow from, you know, a very small event into, you know, the biggest event in pool, and you know, he's very proud of it, and he's always looking at ways to try and make the event better, as everybody else. But he'll certainly be there for next week at the early panel.
Yeah, 25th year, right?
25th year, yeah. But what the event really needs is a USA win, I think, Jeremy.
Yeah, of course.
Which is where you come in.
Yeah, and you know, it's one thing a lot of guys want to see competitive. Us 7 here, we're looking for a win. There's no two ways about it. We don't want to see a good match. We want to see a great match by our team.
England to break.
And that's the most, that's maybe one of the biggest points as far as the team. Get very involved in yourself. Get very involved in what you do. Now Imran breaking, trailing 3-0. Oh, he's missed the 1 a little bit. Oh. And that's one of the changes in the Rasan from before, how much deeper the slate goes into the pocket, which makes the pocket obviously much more difficult.
Is he looking at a 2-9 here?
Yeah, but I think if he banks it, I think he needs to bank this, and so he's going to draw the cue ball back to the short side of the 2. He could either hold it also. He doesn't have to play that because the 3-7-9 is a very easy shot for these guys as well. So I actually like his decision, making the bank a little more simple and waiting one more shot to try and get at that 9. He's got to watch the 6. He's queuing over the 6. We're playing all ball fouls just like we will next week. And it's weird. I've seen the foul with the shirt and the Mosconi and stuff, and it's something you think at this level shouldn't ever happen. But the tension is so high, you can simply forget almost, or not be so aware.
I mean, sometimes players have the shirts tucked right down, and others have them just slightly loosely tucked, and that can be the difference, you know. If If your cloth falls onto the ball, there we are.
Nice combination. His second combination on the 9 in 4 games, and now out to a 4-0 lead and breaking. So after winning the lag, even a more ideal situation than Team England in match 1. They had 2 breaks to win the match, and it went hill-hill, and they fortunately won it. But now Tyler Styer has 3 breaks to win the match, consequently.
I mean, it's fair to say he's made an impressive debut here, because I've never seen him play before, and he looks very composed for his age and for the circumstances.
And like I said, he's probably, when you talk about textbook pool and textbook cueing, he's probably the most solid on the team fundamentally.
Thank you to 5th rack. USA to break, leading 4 racks to 0.
Which, you know, when you're solid fundamentally, you're prepared, that gives you a lot more leeway. I mean, you can hit the ball a little bit, you can be a little more nervous and maybe get away with it, or you can hit the ball a little poorly at times and get away with it. That's why you work on your fundamentals, to give yourself a little more room for error when things are tough. I didn't hear one down.
Nope, that's a dry one, I think.
It's a dry one, and Imran's got to chip the 1, placing the 1 behind the 5-8. I believe he can get at the left edge of the 1. Maybe not. From that expression, maybe not. But if he can, he'll run the cue ball behind the 3, I believe. Oh, he's got to push, so that means he can't get any of it. There's no way he would push if he could see a little sliver of the 1. But the thing about the push is, where do you push to where you're not going to get locked up? So he's going to tie up the 6-4 because he realizes that's overhit. So that's, well, no, it's decent. But the thing is, he realizes how much the worst of it he has rolling out in this position. So he's trying to lengthen the game by tying up the 6 and 4. So he'll bank the 1 back down table, I believe, trying to kill the cue ball behind the 5 and 8. Now this is where everything gets a little tricky on this slick felt, is when you're applying a lot of English, meaning left or right side spin. And that was great. Very well done.
I wonder if the players are finding the fact that the venue's located right under the railway arch is disconcerting.
Well, we were here pretty early this morning. Noticed it right away. You and I talked about it. I've been to London many, many times, and I just never realized that y'all had so many above ground trains.
Yeah,
I know of the
there's half a
tube for
dozen.
sure, but
there's half a dozen really big railway stations in and around central London that spread out all over the country.
Yeah, well, I do know that there's trains that go out throughout the country, but the metro within the city I thought was just pretty much solely the tube. So another open table. I think the 4 is playable. He may have to play some type of rail first shot to gain any type of position on the 5 later in the rack, but I believe the 4 is playable, and he's gotten short side on the 2. And the reason he ran there is he wanted to put extreme emphasis on pocketing the 1. So no reason to try and get fancy on a tough 1-ball shot. It's a little thick. And got it down. Now he's got an angle. This will be interesting. If he wants to play short side on the 4, he can go across the table. Otherwise, you may see him kind of go into the 4-ball. I think he's going to go into it. Maybe not. Yeah, he went into. He's going to bump the 6 perfectly, I think. Yeah. So this will be interesting if he plays more straight on the 5 to try and screw the cue ball back with a little draw English, or he could play behind the 5, meaning a little right of the 5, and play a natural angle to come around the table.
Extension call.
Tyler, like most of these great players, have no problem drawing the ball, so. deal here. Now he's got a little bit of an issue on the 7, but the 7 does go in the side pocket. So I think he'll want to come pretty far down. If he ends up a little short, he could come one rail into the 7-9 and break him open off the 6. Okay, he's kind of got in between here, Luke. Meaning he's got to have a nice touch. He's got to have a nice touch if he decides to play the 7 in the side. And he's kind of flat to easily come one rail into him, so we'll see what decision Tyler makes. Oh, the 7 goes. And he can't do much here because he's going to rub the 9 a little bit. So he'll want to draw back a little to make sure he doesn't get elevated over the 9 and just take a little bit of a cut shot on the 8. You don't want to just stop. You want to, there you go. You want to draw off of it and make sure you open the cue ball up. And I'll tell you, if he gets this 8-9 down, pretty incredible performance for his first debut over here.
I'd
right?
agree. I think he's looked fantastic. You're very calm. There's no sort of drama there, and as you said before, he's got a really lovely stroke.
Mm-hmm. Gets a lot of power with great timing and length. That's the key. Don't get short when you get nervous. When the heart's going, you can get speedy and short. Great match by Tyler Styer, and really Imran just never got going.
No, he didn't know. Anyway, I'll be leaving you for a moment, Jeremy. I'll be back in a minute. And see you in a minute.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Nick. Excuse me, Luke. Yeah, and I'm sure, ladies and gentlemen, yes, we're about to have a quick interview. Nick is going to get a few words from Tyler on what is a stellar performance. Yeah, now down to Nick and Tyler.
A brilliant, assured performance from Tyler Styer. Tyler, you must be really pleased with that.
Yeah, I really am.
You've been working in Belgium with Johan for the last couple of weeks. Has that really helped home your game ahead of this Mosconi Cup?
Yeah, it wasn't really about getting in stroke or working on fundamentals really or anything like that. It was just him telling me what it's going to be like. You know, just getting out here, get over jet lag, get in stroke a little bit. You know, just time with him is amazing, really.
And to come here to London in this warm-up match against England and win your first one 5-0 must be a real confidence boost for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got a little bit better out. He broke dry, I had a shot. I broke dry, he didn't have a shot. So race to 5, it goes like that sometimes. But just going to try and run out when you can. You know, you have to get out. You can't make mistakes.
Well, Tyler, congratulations. You've got USA on the board. It's England 1, USA 1 after 2 matches. And don't go anywhere because in just a moment of second doubles match of the afternoon, it's England's World Cup winning duo of Carl Boyes and Darren Appleton against Billy Thorpe and Skylar Woodward. Welcome back to Spots and Stripes here in London, where it's England 1, USA 1, and it's time for our second doubles match of the afternoon. First of all, for Team England, the 2014 World Cup winners, it's Dynamite, Darren Appleton, and Box Office, Carl Boys. And for Team USA, the South Dakota kid, Skylar Woodward, and Torpedo, Billy Thorpe.
Welcome, welcome everyone. We're here for Team England versus Team USA in a Mosconi Cup style warm-up event ahead of next week. I'm Emily Fraser from Matchroom Multisport, and I'm joined here by Jeremy Jones, the wonderful Jeremy.
Well, thank you, Emily. Now we'll see Carl here to break the balls here in match 3, to open match 3. Carl, who is no stranger to team events and a opening loss of the cue ball in the side pocket. Carl's played 4 Mosconi Cups with really an incredible percentage on wins. That's 77%, winning 17 out of 22. And very much involved in that run by Team Europe with 8 wins in a row. Billy Thorpe, who's played in 1 Mosconi Cup last year. He was the rookie last year, along with Skylar, 2 good friends.
They play together well, don't they, Jeremy?
Yeah, and they're very confident in each other. And so
as I said that.
Wow. So just a little bit of a quick stroke there, just a little bit. So he got a little bit of a skid on the 1, which is created sometimes with a little bit of a quick stroke. So now we'll see a guy who's played so much for England and Europe, Darren Appleton, Hall of Famer last year, inducted on the 50th anniversary. That's got to be something special.
Yeah, of course. And Darren and Carl, they must be so used to playing well together in this sort of Scotch doubles, especially with like the World Cup of Pool. They won it one year.
Right.
Carl Boys and Darren Appleton, I believe. I'm saying this off the top of my head, but so if I'm wrong, I apologise. But I'm quite confident. I believe it was my first World Cup of Pool event that I did. It's 2014. They won, the 2 of them. So you know they're extremely used to playing these kind of conditions. So they've got a tough match, obviously, Billy and Skylar. But again, they both play very well. They're good friends, and hopefully a strong doubles match.
Oh, I'm sure Carl had a scratch on the break there. Now, not his best safety. Didn't really put the 2 where he wanted or the cue ball. So a little bit on 2 shots. Not the greatest performance so far, but Carl will definitely pick it up. Darren, his counterpart, another guy that you expect to play strong, and Skylar Woodward now with our first look at him. A little bit of a distance shot, but a guy that's been playing so well and has really improved in the last 6 months, in my opinion.
Yeah, what was his finish at the International in Virginia?
Oh, 3rd place.
3rd place, yeah.
And really, with a little more fortune, I believe it would have gotten that final. Skylar with going to be his 4th appearance next week in the Mosconi Cup. Okay, so that's overhit a little bit. Still going to be okay. He's got a 3 cushion angle. You can see where he's laying his cue to get on the 5. The key to this shot is make sure you get that 7 or 8 inch bounce off the rail, off that 3rd. Oh, this is going to come a little close. And that's that 7 or 8 inches I was talking about. It makes so much of a difference on a shot like this if the cue ball rests on the rail or not. Okay, so he's gotten him a little straight on the 6, so there's going to be a little bit of a tester on the 7. And that's what you do when you know the cue ball is going to be near the rail. You go find out what's the nice spot on the rail that's a little easier to shoot from. Okay, so he wanted to keep him to where he's not going into the 9. So I think he got him thin enough to where he can go by the 9 and come across the table for the 8 in the side. And I tell you, after an opening ball and hand miss, some nice recovery by Billy. He may have to play short side on the 9, though. I don't think he has much choice. And he's just got to float down for the 9 all the way down in the corner. So a bit of a tester here in our opening game here in our 3rd match, Emily.
Well, that's always good for viewing, isn't it?
Absolutely. One of the prettiest shots in pool.
Nice shot. So obviously that's 1-0 to Team USA here. So if you've just joined us, guys, this is a warm-up style event ahead of the Party Poker Mosconi Cup next week that starts obviously Tuesday the 4th at Alexandra Palace. So we've got Team USA against Team England as a warm-up style event. Tyler, he was fantastic in that last game, wasn't he? He just beat 5-0 Imran Majid. So overall, the score is 1-all. So obviously we're looking to whoever will go ahead for this match, and it's obviously 1-0 at the moment to Billy and Skylar.
And they will be breaking in game 2 after a scratch on the break by Carl.
Carl is actually our off-the-rail MC, I should say, for the Mosconi Cup next week. And,
oh, really?
So instead of turning up for the event, he's actually a Matchroom employee. So
there
I've told
go.
him he has to stay off the beers. He's
Stay
got
involved.
a lot of work to do. Not allowed to socialise. But he's a great sort of pundit to have in those sort of situations. You know, he knows the Mosconi Cup so well.
Yeah,
and he's
very
not
witty
frightened.
too.
Yeah, exactly. And he's not frightened to say what he thinks. So I'm sure we'll be getting a lot of interesting
USA's
features
break,
next week
leading
for
one
our
round to nil.
off-the-rail feature for all our Matchroom pool events.
Now, both teams have stayed on that same side rail for the break for the most part. Okay, he's made 2 on the break, 3 on the break. Now is the one going to open up? It looks like it.
So what are they going to do on the one here, Jeremy?
Well, it looks like they're pretty full, and it looks like now, getting a second look at it, that he's just partially hooked. But you can tell it's a very difficult situation to roll out. So you may see the jump cue here, Emily. And if he can not use the jump cue, well, position is a lot easier. If he's got a clean look here, that's what he wants. So he's got to draw back for that little gap in between the 5 and 7, somewhere around the side pocket. I'm not sure if that's enough. It's close. But you can see he had side spin. So that means he didn't have a full look at the 1. He had to kind of throw it in a little bit. He had to kind of cheat the shot. So that kind of kept him from getting perfect position.
You can see these two have fun together, can't they? They're both joking and smiling. I'm hoping that's a good thing rather than.
Oh, no, that's great. We always remind the guys to enjoy themselves and things like that, but
yeah, and I think that's key, isn't it, really, especially in an atmosphere like the Mosconi Cup next week. It's going to be so, you know, sort of incredible in there, and probably quite overwhelming as well. The team just need to, you know, really work together and just sort of have fun together in order and just enjoy the event. Like, that's what they're here to come and do. It obviously they all want to win, but just enjoy it, and that's what we want everyone to also do.
Well, it's a tough combination, if you ask me, as far as you need to enjoy it, right? But these are the best in the world, so things are expected. So there's a fine line there, you know. So enjoy it is one thing, but we talked about it earlier. Winning is much more pleasurable.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so Darren, not so pleased, but he didn't really have a whole lot to work with. He didn't want to try something too much and leave a really easy play. Billy, a great banker, along with Sky both, so he may play for the 4 on the side and try and attack the cue ball on the 9. Okay, he may 2-rail this, which is always part of that cross-side bank. So now Carl faced with a really difficult shot. It's mainly because he's elevated over the 6. The 4, he can't avoid the scratch. I think he can carry the cue ball into the point, avoiding the scratch. But anytime you're elevated, it just makes the shot at least usually like 40 to 50% more difficult at minimum. Oh, great shot. Great shot. And a little bit off angle here on the 5. So we'll see if he attacks downward on the cue ball, trying to draw to the left side of the 6. Don't go behind the 9. This is very touchy. Can't get behind the 9. Okay.
And he's behind the 9.
Yeah. But he held it just light enough to where Carl has a look at the 6. And Carl won't do much with the cue ball here. The 7 goes in the upper corner and side, so no reason to really move the cue ball that much. Ooh. Ooh.
I feel bad. I'm sort of going, oh, God, that shouldn't have really happened, should it?
Yeah, didn't expect that.
No.
Okay, so the cue ball ran a little much here, but still okay. I know Carl isn't competing as much as he used to, but really no excuse there on that 6 ball.
Yeah, of course. I know that Carl's obviously not, you know, travelling and competing in these tournaments as much as he probably would like to, and he probably is coming into this feeling slightly as the underdog as such. So, but again, that's no excuse.
No, 40 years from now, he won't make an excuse for missing that ball.
So it's 2-0 to Team USA so far in this warm-up style event for the Mosconi Cup ahead of next week. Billy and Skylar looking extremely strong here against Darren and Carl. It's obviously, it must be so tough for these players to, you know, play in a team event, because when they go to these tournaments, they're there for themselves. They're individual characters and they're individual athletes. And the Mosconi Cup is such a unique tournament where you have 2 teams against each other, and sometimes you have to rely on your partner, who is sometimes usually your opponent in other events.
Right.
And it must be so difficult to obviously, and like what you said in one of the other matches, these players have to adapt to these different situations, and they have to talk to one another and work with one another, and obviously they must not be used to that. So like you said, these are the best players in the world that compete at the Mosconi Cup, and it's just great to see.
You have to have a heck of a chin.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be able to let things go. There's going to be a bunch of bumps and bruises involved in the Mosconi Cup next week, so it's just a lot about how you rebound. Everybody's going to make a mistake or two.
Yeah, well, exactly. You've got Corey fine example for the first game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he had that. I think the mistake on the
9
ball,
yeah.
and then he rebounded and he came back, even though they did lose that first match. But you could tell in the second rack it didn't affect him.
Yeah, one fortunate thing, not only being able to spend so much time together the last 6 months, that being Team USA.
Extension.
These are 5 guys that when we're at the tournaments, singles tournaments, the individual settings, that they're still the type of guys that sweat each other, you know, that really try and pull each other in.
And that's great to see as
well.
Yeah,
and the combination, and it's not like that for everybody.
Yeah.
But this combination of 5, even prior to this last 6 months, were really involved in each other. So
they're still there railing each other on, even though it's an individual tournament.
Exactly.
As such. But it's just, it must just take such a unique athlete and sportsman to be able to compete in the style of the Mosconi Cup.
Oh, yeah. And the Mosconi Cup, one thing about it, it's a race to 5 with high tension, so everything's so magnified when it comes to a mistake. And momentum is so easily turned. One thing you have to realize is there's most likely, after 4 games, it is going to be 3-1 somebody or possibly 4-0. It's very hard to just trade racks, so you have to stay so composed.
Yeah, of course. And Team USA here, Team England here, Darren and Carl, they've taken an extension here. It's obviously a Mosconi Cup style format. So each team is allowed 1 30-second extension per rack. So they have a 30-second shot clock in play. So Darren's obviously got 10 seconds here to play his shot. He's already taken his extension now.
And he was really trying to play the cue ball down behind these balls, hoping the 3 kind of returned back up table. The 3 caught the point on the side pocket, so kind of ruined that plan. I don't think he'll attack here. I think he'll just get the percentage play, knocking the 3 down table and wedging the cue ball on the 7. And this is a difficult kick shot here. If he can't get by the 7 to that natural 1 rail, the 5's really got him to where there's not much of a 3 ball to hit at. If he hits this ball, he cannot get to the left side of it. So I wouldn't be surprised if he made this, if he hit it. Oh, what a great effort. Wow, and to kick with such hard speed 2 rails all the way down table and be so accurate, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he must be feeling good about that shot.
Yeah. Okay, he'll just go back and forth here. Key is stay off the rail and don't get too straight on the 4. You can handle, as long as you're off the rail, you can handle a lot of things.
So it's a first to 7 points here overall for this Team England, Team USA matchup today. Each game is race to 5, exactly like the Mosconi Cup. So we are 2-0 to Team USA at the moment, and the overall score currently is 1-1, with Tyler taking the last game by 5-0, which is very impressive for the rookie, and I'm extremely excited to see how he plays next week at the Alexandra Palace. And I mean, if he comes out and plays matches like that, then
yeah, it's all about opportunity and taking advantage. Like Imran, he of course he made a mistake or two, but sometimes the matches can be a little one-sided, and there's that cue ball on the rail that gets you, can make you miss. The cue ball just rested on the rail, which made that shot so much more difficult.
Great memory you have, Jeremy.
Mm-hmm. And Darren, we were talking about his experience in these situations. He's played 8 Mosconi Cups, 46 matches played with 24 wins. And
wow. What a record right there.
Yeah, anytime you're 50% or higher, that's whenever a captain is saying, oh, I might want that guy on my team again.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Darren, again, kind of like Carl. I wouldn't say Darren's playing days are over by any means, but he hasn't played as much in the last 6 or 8 months. He's had a lot to do with his tournaments and some family things as far as health and stuff, so taking care of his mother and father.
Yeah, and that's obviously number one to anyone sort of thing. So I mean, you get yourself sorted you know, when it comes to things like that, and then you sort of focus on number 2 as such.
A nice touch on that 7, using it as an extension on his cue to go around the 8. And now England in the 3rd match here, trying to get on the board with a pretty routine 9-ball.
And sometimes you would find that where you've just said, Jeremy, a pretty routine 9-ball, there's only events like the Party Poker Mosconi Cup where you would see that shot get missed.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That's why I said pretty routine 9-ball,
exactly.
yeah. Yeah, you can't really say anything about, there's no for sure's when it comes to this event that's coming up next week. Just like the 6-ball we saw Carl miss.
Exactly.
And not saying this is the Mosconi. This isn't obviously.
Just so no one gets confused out there, because I'd be quite concerned if we were staging this Mosconi Cup like this. But it just goes back to, you know, how spectacular these players have to be under that sort of environment where they're so used to just playing in, you know, like the pool clubs and.
Oh yeah.
And to go under the lights and the staging at, you know, something like Alexandra Palace, it's just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and this sport's so eerily similar to golf, I believe, in so many ways. You know you're only going to have your top game, maybe 1 out of 5, but you try to train to hover around maybe 85 to 90% because that gets it done a lot of times. So
this is
the constant pursuit of perfection in a game that I don't think it's attainable, but. Okay, so the reason why he's pulling out the jump cue, obviously, because the rollout is, other than rolling out to some type of jump shot or a difficult kick, is just not available. But position is so difficult. I think he'll make the 2. Is he going to get a little bounce? No. So you're going to, I don't think he can get through there. Maybe he can. He tried to draw it, though. Tried to put a little something on it.
Still a good shot, though, there from Skylar,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Main thing is you got to bury the 2, that's for sure.
So it's overall score here for this Team England USA game is 1-1, with Team England taking the first game and USA taking the second. And this is our 3rd match of the day today. Obviously, USA ahead 2-1 with Billy at the table here.
I like his choice right there, kicking across the table. I was going to say the only way you really don't come away with something nice is if you hit it really full like he did. Otherwise, you create separation if you catch a little thinner on the 3. One thing he's done, though, he's elevated Darren over the 5, and I don't believe the 3's really playable on the side. So maybe it's very difficult to draw back for a safety, obviously, being pinned over the 5-ball. So you may have to attack on like a cross-side bank here.
Extension.
You can see here Darren obviously shaking his head.
Yeah, difficult situation.
And Carl coming in to assist as such.
Yeah, I think I would run the cue ball off the left side of the 3 up near the 7 and let the 3 bank out behind the 8, something like that. You may not get the snooker, but you're probably going to leave your opponent a very difficult shot off the end rail. Of course, we talked about it in game 1, and all the top sports, all the best players are very aggressive, so he's trying to find a way to attack, but I think he's just got to play it something simple. And a nice effort there, I believe.
Yeah, he still made it tough for Team USA here.
Oh,
coming
absolutely,
back to the table.
Yeah. Now Sky's looking at the jump shot, which I think he's going to end up playing myself. Because he's only got to go over about half the 8, so he can control the jump a little more. He's got to make a decision, though. Does he want to go offensive on this jump, or does he want to knock the 3 around table and try and keep the cue ball behind the 7? Oh, he went for the cut. And he's going to end up okay. Now we'll see if Carl just tries to play the cue ball behind the 6 and the 3 down here by this congestion, that being the 4, 5, and 8. So he won't really weld the cue ball. He'll just, against the 6, he'll try and just play it generally behind the 6 and use all them balls. Oh, this has gotten away from him, I think. This might leave a gap on the 3, and I think it has. Difficult play here, though. You'll notice he's super thin on the 3. So the cue ball is going to have a lot of speed on it. And the 8's a big ball to cover up the 4 from down table. Oh, great shot.
Nice
great
shot.
shot. Yeah. Wow. He actually hit it too well. He's going to need a little bump on the 5. Oh. And he got it.
You can see him sort of laughing there with Skylar as well.
I think that was well-deserved bump, though. He made a great shot on the 3. And Billy Thorpe with his rookie, his debut last year in the Mosconi Cup at the Mandalay Bay. And it was a great crowd, but I think he's really looking forward to next week.
I think next week is just going to be so different for the players.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, some of these have played in the event before, and I keep telling them over and over again, it's going to be different this year. Like, there is going to be so much going on in that arena. And obviously it's tough for Team USA because, you know, when they're over at Mandalay Bay, they get the crowd and they get their, you know, them on their side. But over in Alexandra Palace, it's so heavily, you know, Team Europe fans. I do feel for them sometimes when, you know, when they're doing their walkouts, and it will be tough for them this year. But this is such a strong team, Jeremy, that we've got in for next week, and, you know, I feel really confident for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Skylar's 4th Mosconi. Billy, you got to believe that he's learned a lot from last year, and along throughout the year he's become better. So we saw Tyler, how solid he played, so, you know, he's motivated. And, of course, in my opinion, the best player in the world, Shane Van Boening, and then Skylar coming into even better form. So he went a little bit offensive, thinking he may make it in the side. If not, he was hoping it would get to the upper rail. Yeah.
But obviously it didn't follow through with it. But
okay, caught a little bit of the point on the 9 going in, but a nice shot by Darren to tie us up at 2 apiece, and England breaking in rack 5.
so if you're joining us here, guys, this is a Team England versus Team USA warm-up style event ahead of the Mosconi Cup. It's a race to 7 overall. Each game is a race to 5, and we're obviously 2 all here. And it's, you know, it's interesting to see these guys, especially Team USA, to play against England. Like I said, it is a warm-up style event ahead of the Mosconi Cup, and it's just good to see how these players are playing together. Obviously, the circumstances are going to be extremely different when it comes to next week, which is going to be live on Sky Sports main event from next Tuesday the 4th, 6:30. And it's going to be such a spectacular event here, Jeremy. I know I'm obviously very biased, which I will apologise for the commentary style, because again, our budgets were extremely tight for this event, where we spent it all so much for next week. So luckily I've got Jeremy here who knows everything about 9-ball pool, and he is leading, so I do apologise that I don't have the technical terms side of it, but I'm also learning. So
well, that's 2 breaks for Carl, and both of them losing the cue ball. Once in the side pocket and then a follow on the corner. So
yeah, perhaps he hasn't been practicing the break.
Well, that's one thing when you're not playing a ton. The timing is what you work on mainly. When you're hitting a lot of balls, you work on timing, and anytime you got to hit the balls harder and you're not exactly in form, that's when you have not only on the break shot, but any type of shot when you have to add speed. Well, now you can lose a little bit of control. So he wants to gain an angle on the 3 somewhere in the center of the table. That makes it easy to get around for the 4, or somewhat easy. And that's what people don't realize. These guys make it look so easy, but there's so much involved in every shot when it comes to 9-ball pool, American pool. nice stroke there. And again, that nice little bump, get that 8, 10, 12 inches off the rail. Most of these guys can handle most angles when needed, moving the cue ball as long as that cue ball stays off that rail. Okay, so I think that's perfect. The 6-9 combo is not really playable, so he'll want to come across for the 6 in the same pocket.
Okay.
Again, he probably won't catch 2 cushions here. Probably just float 1 cushion across. No reason to catch the 2nd cushion. Taking a look at a young man that's going to, both these young men are going to be around for a long time.
Yeah, so obviously there's a new qualifying criteria for our Whirlpool Masters that's taking place next year, and I think one of the great things that we've introduced this time is that one of the players is the Mosconi Cup MVP. And so, you know, if you're a solid pool fan and you've been watching the Whirlpool Masters consistently, you'll see that it's always, you know, Shane Van Boening that's in it. And like you said, Shane is the best player in the US, and so rightly so, he should be in it. But it's so good to be able to see a second US player feature in the Whirlpool Masters. I mean, you know, we've got Facebook Live showing the Mosconi Cup next week and into the US. So it's such a good standpoint for the American players. And say USA win next week and the MVP gets to play in, obviously, the Whirlpool Masters. So it's a great qualifying criteria for it. You know, so Billy and Skylar have obviously just taken another point here. So they now lead 3-2 against Darren and Carl in this race to 5 match, Mosconi Cup event style. This is not the real thing, guys. I warn you.
Yeah, you're gonna see some smiles and laughs next week, but there's definitely gonna be I mean, they're serious out here. I mean, you can see the guys as the matches progress. You can see these guys want to win.
Oh yeah, of course.
Definitely.
Of course.
That's a human nature kind of thing.
They wouldn't be in the job they're in if they didn't want to win. But yeah, it's just good. Like I said, it's good to see a sort of warm-up event style here ahead of the Mosconi Cup. It's obviously I might have to have a word with the venue here, try and get them to turn on the heating. Looks like the players are freezing down there.
Well, it was quite warm earlier, and then as it's gone along, I'm not sure if the heat got cut down or not, but Corey said he was very, very cold in the first match. I talked to him after it, and so yeah, but in the nicest way you can say it, you've got 10 cold-blooded killers out there playing today.
That's very true.
6th rack, USA to break, leading 3 racks to 2.
Both our referees here, Martin, Royce and Glenn, doing such a fantastic job here on this warm-up style event for the Mosconi Cup.
Oh, the cue ball hit right before that side pocket. Very successful pocketing a ball, and he's going to end up with a nice shot on the 1. A little congestion on the side rail with the 3-4, but very doable. And one thing I've enjoyed so much this past 6 months is seeing the guys, the younger guys even, Billy, Sky, Tyler, which Corey and Shane are still pretty young fellas as well, but seeing them mature, the younger guys really mature. It's fun to watch.
I've noticed such a change, especially from, you know, last year in Vegas, Jeremy, that just between the US players, and I know you get those fans out there that say, that, you know, have their favourite USA players and such, but I've noticed such a change from the team dynamic this year. And, you know, I've been travelling to a few events just to be able to see, like I said, what's out there, what other events are there. You know, we're the leading promoters in this sport, we should know what our competition is like. But I've just noticed such a change and a positive change as such. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how they come out at Alexandra Palace next week. And even more so just seeing how this plays out today. And I think it's great that obviously 1-1 overall, and here it's 3-2 Billy and Skylar.
He really expected to rub the four a little bit. He's really surprised he went He caught the shot the 3 in the side and didn't get any contact on the 4. He thought he had rubbed the 4 a little bit, which making the shot much easier. I think he'll still cut this in. The problem is the cue ball going to run into the 5? And if it is, what's going to happen?
Okay.
That's why he's looking. Can I get across the table without hitting that 5 ball? So there's some issues here. If he can do that, you'll notice the 5 doesn't pass the 7 in the side, so he'll have to play for one of the upper corners most likely. I think he should attack here, though. I think it's worth it. There's a little risk, but I think it's worth it. I'll tell you one thing that's definitely, what a great shot there by Sky, but and he ran into that 5 ball, and that was fine. You take a little risk, you could glance off of it and scratch or whatever. It's not an exact science, but I'll tell you one thing that I'm very sure that we're going to see next week is I love our team, but I believe they got to know they're going to have to earn it. Yes. Meaning, when you're trying to, 8 years of whatever you want to call it, trying to get yourself back on the board, and these guys obviously haven't played those 8 cups that they lost, but nevertheless, it's just kind of how sport is. Things may go against our team, but I think they can overcome it.
Yeah, and I think they've got to kind of take that out of their head that, the 8 losses.
Oh, and I think they have. Yeah. I don't even think it's really entered their head.
No, because it's a different team, and they're doing this for themselves as well, and it's going to be interesting next week. So obviously Billy and Skylar here just taken the 4th point here. So it's race to 5 this match. So 1 more point needed for Team USA if they need to take this game. It's 1-1 overall in this race to 7 points for Team England versus Team USA in a warm-up style Mosconi Cup event. And just touching base earlier there on the Whirlpool Masters, Jeremy, I don't want to divulge into too much information, so I might accidentally say a player that's confirmed that the guys haven't announced yet, so I need to be slightly careful. But again, a brand new format that we've tweaked for next year. It's always been 16 players, invitational event, but we've changed it. And, like I said, we've got the Mosconi Cup MVP in there. We're going to have the Asian champion and obviously the US Open champion, Jason Shaw's going to be in there.
Yeah, Jeffrey DeLuna announced, I believe, yesterday or the day before. Yeah, very, very stylish player, fun to watch, big stroke.
And I think definitely
a lot of charisma at the table.
Yeah, exactly. And certainly looking at both Skylar and Billy, these are 2 players that would love to be in the Whirlpool Masters. And again, touching base on the MVP position, this is something that would be such an additional bonus for them. If they took that down next week.
Okay, now he had to let the cue ball go a little bit. He knew that. There was a little risk there, but now Billy resting on the rail, some 8 feet away from this 2 ball. 2's kind of near the pocket, but very, very missable. He's got to hit it well. Now the one thing, you can't put much side spin when you're on the rail. You can't really get outside on the cue ball. So this cue ball will go near this side pocket, I believe, if he hits it well.
Nice shot there.
Yeah, very nice.
Very nice.
Okay, so decision time. You can't really play the 4 to the lower left without and gain position on the 5. So he's either going to
say what they both said. What were they both thinking here?
Yeah, you got to cut to the other hole, and then you run the cue ball naturally into the 7, trying to open up a shot on the 5. I don't think he'll draw into the 9. I think he'll just go ahead and avoid the 9. Go into the back of the 7 and maybe run the cue ball also into the 5, like so.
Okay.
And one of the main things we stress to these guys is keep it simple. You're going to have to make great shots. No matter what, it's going to be a part of the game. So when you have the choice, keep it simple and trust your partner.
And fair play to obviously Team USA coming along and doing this warm-up event, because even though it is the Team England as such, you look at all of those players, Carl, Darren, Imran, Mark, Chris Melling, they're all strong players, and they've all, been in the Mosconi Cup, and this is a really great tournament that we're sort of doing today, just on its own anyway. And I think it's just great practice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great warm-up. It's an event that could easily be a 3-day event with maybe not 2,500 spectators, you know what I mean? But easily, you know, somewhere 400 or 500, nice event. A lot of experience.
It would have been nice a 3-day event, but I spent too much money on our sparklers for the Mosconi next week, so we had to pull back and make it a 1-dayer.
Yeah, well, Matchroom's taking care of us, that's for sure. A thin cut on the 8 to most likely win this match 3 and get a lead here for Team USA. So besides that opening 1-ball miss, a pretty impressive performance here by Billy and Schuyler.
Wow, so 5-2 to Team USA there. So Billy and Schuyler took down this match. So this is great news, isn't it? So for Team USA, they've come out. They're now 2-1 overall. Obviously, we've got a long day ahead, and you know what happens. Anything can happen in 9-ball pool. But what a brilliant start for Team USA.
No, great. Couldn't ask for more other than a victory in the first match, but still, the guys are playing solid.
And for everyone sort of tuning in, we've obviously got Chris Melling and Billy Thorpe is staying on the table up next. So if you go into, well, what time is it here? It's, so I don't even know what time of the day it is sometimes. It's 4 o'clock here. So if you go and have your cup of tea and biscuits, be quick. If you're over in America, you're probably just maybe waking up or having some lunch. So make sure you go now, and obviously join us very, very shortly for Chris Melling versus Billy Thorpe.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yes, certainly. Thanks, Jeremy.
Send alone.
Right, Spurs. I want a big screen up there.
Oh, that'd be me and Ellen, mate. Oh, Ellen.
I'm just on a 9 ball as Kane
So you get concentrate when it's on the box. You wouldn't lose up.
100%. No! You can't concentrate when it's on the box in the other room.
We spent a night together. Give me mate. I've never this story, right? The only thing I can explain it, right? I'll be saying a lot of